Good morning, good afternoon, and thank you for joining our Caribbean real estate investment, which today we will specifically focus on the St. Kitts and Nevis Citizenship Investment Program. For quite some time, we've seen, especially here at Helling Partners, a major interest from various clienteles around globally, interest within the St. Kitts and Nevis Citizenship Investment Program. And today, not only would like to discuss about the program itself, but also some of the recap and some of the developments as well that the program has had over the quite few years. Today, I'd like to introduce some of my fellow panelists, which today I'd like to include Honorary Calvin St. Justice to start with, who is the Executive Chairman of St. Kitts and Nevis, of the St. Kitts and Nevis Citizenship and Investment Unit, in addition to also bringing Daisy Endo, who's also the CEO of All Star Limited as well, in addition to also joining John Giuliani, property developer, and Katie Suzana, sales manager of the Royal St. Kitts Hotel. So what I'd like to start with is just to give a bit of an overview and introduction in regards of Helling Partners. So on our menu today, we'll be discussing a bit of an introduction over who really a Helling Partner is, in addition to explaining really what is the difference of having a second residency and a second citizenship, following by sharing a bit of an overview regarding the St. Kitts and Nevis Citizenship Investment Program, then at fourth, following with a bit of a real estate discussion, and then at the end, sharing a bit more information regarding the process and timing. And of course, leave it at the very end for a question for a Q&A. So here at Helling Partners, we're considered to be in terms of what we call the global leaders when it comes to citizenship or residency by investment. Initially, the concept of residency was coined early in the 1990s, where our founder, Christian Kalin, was able to help certain governments to really create citizenship and residency by investment. From there, it attracted an industry of over 15 billion US foreign investment dollars that essentially we're able to attract, which of course has allowed us to essentially expand our footprint within 60 different city centers. Of course, within 25,000 plus clients that essentially we've been able to advise internationally from there as well. Of course, this is just a little bit of our global presence within each of our market presence internationally. Now, something specific that I like to talk about with is really the understanding of what is having the benefit of having a second citizenship versus residency as well. So typically within a lot of conversations that essentially I have with a lot of clients, they typically ask me in terms of what is the difference between both. So from a high level overview, having a residency, which typically here in the US or another given country, we can formalize it as having a permanent residency card or a temporary residency card. It allows you to reside in a specific country, in addition to also having access to the labor market, the educational market, and the healthcare market as well. Something that is important as well for families or either for children is they also have access to the education system in that specific country as well. Typically with residency, there are certain conditions that needs to be met in order to make sure that residency can be maintained. Most of the times, depending on some country programs, there will be a long-term residency requirement or a short-term residency requirement that needs to be accomplished, which coordinates sometimes with tax residency as well. Now, versus citizenship, if those conditions have not been met, then residency can be revoked. Now, let's transition to citizenship, which, of course, citizenship grants all those significant rights that residency has to offer, but as we can take it on a different level. Citizenship allows you to essentially travel internationally to also what we call gain full right protection when it comes down to essentially traveling from one country to another. Now, something else that is very important to discuss is that typically when we're talking about family legacy planning, citizenship allows you to essentially pass it down from one generation to another, which of course becomes irrevocable, mostly in the country programs, which of course allows to build that long-term family legacy goal as well. Now, some of the benefits of essentially acquiring a second residency within really any given countries, number one, for most of our clients is a question of exploring what's the quality of life. So most of the time, it's accessing to better safety, personal security, and better environment as well, in addition to better healthcare. Most of the times as well, typically within various jurisdictions, taxes can be also a good component when we explore residency, but this mostly comes with a relocation component. In addition to also having access to some education component, depending in terms of which countries we offer as well. Now, in addition to also exploring what are the benefits of essentially having second citizenship. So of course, depending in terms of which country specifically you may have a nationality in, having a second citizenship allows for ease of travel within international countries. Most of the time, either for entrepreneurs, CEOs, or other individuals as well. It allows for ease of access within other types of opportunity within other countries, and also for families having access to better healthcare, education, and then business opportunity as well. Of course, another opportunity is that it allows to create an independent travel document that allows you to essentially travel internationally. Which, of course, one of the main considerations is, of course, if there are certain uncertainties that have been felt mostly within a country, that let's say you may not feel comfortable of utilizing this passport, then you have the right to utilize a second passport. And of course, having access to better mobility. Additional benefits as well that may really rely and become important when it comes down to holding a second citizenship is, of course, having it as a protection, which also allows you to create personal security, not allowing you to essentially relocate to other countries without having to go through endurance of visa procedures. Now, for some particular countries where, for example, in the US, where they have a pretty unique taxation system, which is focused mostly on a citizenship-based taxation, some individuals, for taxation reasons, will go through the process of essentially expatriating and even revoking their US citizenship in order to focus on a second citizenship, which of course allows you to relocate to more tax-friendly jurisdiction as well. And of course, one last thing too, is for individuals that are more interested as a retirement lifestyle option, then of course, having a second citizenship allows you for the freedom of residing in their country and then coming and go as much as they desire. Now, one of the biggest questions that I typically get to ask is, am I allowed to essentially have a dual citizenship? Of course, this truly depends on the country where essentially you do have originally a citizenship. What I will say is that specifically in the US, this is something that has been enacted since the 1960s, which of course you have the right to have dual nationality. So of course, most of the countries now in our world have the right to essentially hold dual citizenship as well. And then something that is important is that if, for example, a country doesn't allow for dual citizenship, one thing that is a big consideration is that if at a certain point in time, either one individual decides to essentially acquire a second citizenship, then this could cause a consequence of essentially a loss of their current citizenship, which is important to check the legal implications over that specific route. So now let's transition to the St. Nevis program as well, which I'd like to pass on the baton to the head of the St. Nevis, the head of the Citizenship and Investment Unit.
Great. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I will put it in action because that way I can start sending some details to our marketing people.
All right, great. So, and thanks, Simon. What I would say is, as the executive chairman of the recently transformed Citizenship by Investment unit in St. Kitts, it's really a privilege to really share with the audience, some of the opportunities for investors considering investing in our federation. So many of you would have been aware, similar to what Simon said, the context of citizenship by investment. This was really coined by St. Kitts and Nevis about having an impressive legacy of being the first in this space, about 41 years old, from an investment program. And what this tells us is that not only did we have stood the test of times, is that we've been an integral bridge connecting St. Kitts and Nevis and our economic citizens with the world. Again, the program, in terms of what we have been the first, what this gives us is a level of sustainability over the last 40 plus years. So we have seen it all. We've been tested and tried over the number of years. And one of the core benefits, or should I say one of the core anchor points, is our trusted reputation to have been in the business for such a long time. Now, St. Kitts and Nevis, we continue to offer a premier investment opportunities that really aligns with our national vision for sustainability and prosperity. Through our Citizenship by Investment program, investors have really 4 distinct avenues to become part of our nation's growth story. 3, which offers a route into real estate investment, and I'll double click on those areas. The first one that we have, it's what's called the Sustainable Island State Contribution. And this really is the first in terms of an opportunity or pathway directly to support our government's agenda, where the government has made a very bold statement to transform St. Kitts and Nevis into a model sustainable island state. And therefore, with the contribution and the investment into this fund, really what we do, we invest into the prioritization of climate resiliency, green energy, and really moving towards an economic diversification component. The second option that we have, it's called a public benefit option. And what this offers, it really offers a real estate component, depending on the project. And it requires a contribution to an approved public benefit project. And what that does, it fosters growth and it also creates jobs within St. Kitts and Nevis, really supporting the initiative to create tangible economic and social benefits for our citizens. And this ensures that the foreign direct investment that our investors make, it leads to long-term national development, really offering investors that trusted and impactful route to citizenship. The third is and it's really coins on this webinar. It's really our developers real estate investment. And so we have a developers real estate investment option. And this pathway, it allows investors to secure citizenship while benefiting from ownership in premium properties. And these investments really play a critical role in enhancing our national economic resilience and ensuring that St. Kitts and Nevis remains a top-tier destination in terms of being responsible and having high-value development. The minimum for investing in this option it starts at a minimum of $325, where you can purchase through an approved development, and it's relatively resaleable, and this is critical in terms of the ROI potential in 7 years. And what this gives potential opportunity is investing into luxury resorts, villas. We have a couple of the developers on this who share some of their high-end development. And the ROI potential is significant. What we have seen over the years is the properties really offer a strong rental yield, and this is due to the tourism-driven demand that St. Kitts and Nevis offers. Coming to our shores up towards 1 million tourist visitors. So it gives us opportunity for this demand. And this also has appreciation potential due to the limited inventory and again, the high demand. And all these approved developments, one can take a look at them. They're on our website, and our website is ciu.gov.kn. The last option really goes into the private real estate investment. So for those seeking more of a tangible asset in the heart of the Caribbean, our private real estate investment option, what this does, it allows the investor to purchase an exclusive private property. And this gives them the opportunity to grant the individual really a stake into a thriving property market and contribute again to the sustainable expansion of our tourism and our real estate sectors. It's important to understand that our nation is really renowned in terms of what we offer. I think, this is the question like consistently, what is it we offer in the Caribbean, and why do people tend to wish to come? And it goes without saying, with the breathtaking landscape that we offer, these options gives investors an opportunity to own a piece of the paradise, while also securing the benefits of our prestigious citizenship as Simon has indicated. Now, in terms of where the minimum investment for these options, so for a single family dwelling, we start at a minimum of 600,000 US, which again, this may not be resold until 7 years, and again, given the opportunity for further return and benefits for the investors. So these four investment options really reflect the commitment to balancing our economic prosperity within our sustainability goals and really being innovative. One key thing I would say that we have in terms of that gives an assurance and why we're able to have this program for such a long time is our major selling point is the credibility. And when I say credibility, it goes through our very, very rigor due diligence that we actually have every application go through. We have a very strict vetting process, so we ensure that the right individual, the right investor, is actually being part of this program, because we want to make sure we're securing our borders, but also want to make sure that we're securing our partners' borders. So we go through a very strict vetting process around each of the applicants to ensure that the right investors from a high-end perspective are the individuals who can truly invest in our program. So our real estate option really manages that exclusive brand in terms of what we do. Now, in terms of the management of the real estate option, we recently launched what's called the Office of the Chairman. So, and that specific office is designed to serve as a center of excellence within our Citizenship by Investment unit. One of the primary goals of this office is to support sustainable economic growth. And this ensures that we engage in meaningful long-term benefits for the Federation. And this results in ensuring that we're creating job opportunities for our local workers, supporting our local enterprises through our Citizenship by Investment development. This office, again, it ensures that we follow various international standards from a development perspective. We also ensuring that we follow the renewable component as well and sustainable in terms of what these projects are delivering. So the office oversees the review and approval of all development projects under the Citizenship by Investment program. And that can be whether it's a PBO, which is the public benefit option, or it can be a real estate development. And this really ensures that we are following a true regulatory compliance across all transactions, everything from the minimum investment threshold to monitoring the resale criteria in the real estate option. So at the core of the Office of the Chairman that oversees our development in real estate is really around providing a culture of exceptional customer service, offering that single point of contact for developers, so those who wish to be developers and be part of our program, our clients, those individuals seeking to participate in our program, and our service providers, really streamlining the process and ensuring there's a smooth experience. And that's important because we understand how important this is, and we want to make sure we offer that level of customer service. So all our activities really underpinned by, as I said, a rigorous approach to risk management, due diligence, and good governance. These are the core foundation that St. Kitts and Nevis has been able to sustain over the last 40 years. And so we work extensively with our international partners to share best practices and training in terms of de-risking our program to ensure that we have that national security aspect at hand. And so we collaborate with various heads across the region, and we share knowledge and increase border security. And we establish a continuous due diligence department. And this is really established to preserve the integrity of our processes and provide ongoing background checks, because it's important that the level of security is maintained. So we are committed to future-proofing our program. We really want to ensure that investors can have a sustainable investment in our federation and ensure that the level of security and safety, both within St. Kitts and Nevis, and also the opportunity that the citizenship provides to having access to some of our international partners, it's important that the right individuals are the ones that are vetted and can secure this citizenship. And so these are sort of the highlights I wanted to just touch on in terms of what St. Kitts and Nevis citizenship by investment offers. And we continue to innovate. We have a various number of new things that will be coming out over the next couple of weeks, and ensuring, one, as I said, first and foremost, that the right investor gets the opportunity, but ensuring that there's a protection of the program. So, Simon, that's really just quick highlights of what I wanted to discuss around what's happening in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this. It's much appreciated. And as you mentioned itself, I mean, for us, St. Kitts and Nevis has always been, a program that we've highlighted to a lot of different clients where the track record and the reputation of the program really speaks for itself, which I think has attracted a lot of our clients, really trusting the process and trusting the program, and also trusting the passport, especially as having the opportunity to utilize it either as an insurance policy or either utilize it as a means of travel, or either to come to St. Kitts and Nevis, spend time and really explore and join the culture as well. I'd like to move forward with a bit of information regarding and a bit of an overview regarding the real estate investment, which I'll pass the baton as well to John Zuliani and then Kate as well. So John, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. If you'd like, feel free to share your presentation as well.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Simon. Your Excellency, appreciate the overview. That was very informative. I would like to kind of focus a little bit more on the Royal St. Kitts and why, once you've decided to get St. Kitts citizenship, why I think buying real estate will be much more beneficial than doing the donation, but to each their own, and everyone has their own path. So to start with a little history, we're a little unique. My father came to St. Kitts in 1983. He was originally from Italy, migrated to Toronto, became successful in the construction and development industry, but he was your kind of classic Italian who ate way too much and had a lot of challenging health risks. The gentleman had over 7 heart attacks, 2 open heart bypasses, and 2 strokes during his life. But after his first heart attack, his doctor told him he needed to retire, and his dentist was from St. Kitts. So that's how we ended up coming to St. Kitts. It was my father came here to retire, but after playing golf every day for 3 months, he said he was so bored he was ready to buy the San Francisco Bridge. So he ended up buying the Royal St. Kitts Hotel in 1983 at the time, which was a small 73-room hotel. Throughout the 80s and 90s, he operated it as an all-inclusive under the brand Jack Tar and expanded the hotel to just under 300 hotel units. Unfortunately, he had severe health issues and passed away. And when he did, the government even donated a roundabout in his honor, which you can see in the photo, where I built a little statue, which has him overlooking the hotel, because he told me he was always going to keep his eyes on me even after he passed. So once I moved down from completing university in Florida, I embarked on operating the hotel as an all-inclusive, saw that really wasn't working because of the change of St. Kitts moving to a higher-end destination and a higher-end market. So we closed the hotel and embarked on a 2.5, 3-year renovation where I really gutted the entire hotel, converted 300 hotel rooms down to 215 suites, where every unit then had its own kitchen, living facility, gives you a little more flexibility. Once we completed that renovation, the response for hotel guests were really good. So every couple of years, I just embarked on a new project. So from 2016 to 2020, I focused on 3 new developments. The first one was Royal Plaza at the very front of our property, which is a 20,000 square foot shopping plaza. We have a grocery store, breakfast place. There's a Hard Rock Cafe opening this summer. So a lot of unique developments there, an Indian restaurant and a few other cuisines offering restaurants. We then moved on to the Cove development, which comprised of 12 luxury suites, poolside, kind of like a Miami feel and style, which was extremely successful. And then we moved on to the Royal Plaza 2, which was another 8,000 square foot commercial building. This was right during the pandemic in 2021. One of the things that kind of separates us from a lot of the other hotels is we were the only hotel in St. Kitts that didn't close during the pandemic. In fact, we actually did the opposite. We embarked on construction of our 6 royal villas, which are now completed full construction. So we actually ended up hiring 250 extra construction workers during a 2.5-year period when the pandemic was really at its worst, which allowed us to get the most amount of construction work done without affecting hotel guests. So, in every disaster, there's a silver lining that can be beneficial. So we offer the Royal Villas now. Investors have the opportunity to purchase a 1/30th share or interest in the villa, which gives them access to either use 12 days a year, or they can put those 12 days into one of our rental pools. So the rental pool options and returns will vary, but we did a sample using 75% occupancy of the villas, and you'll see that you have the potential of earning just under $90,000 during this 7-year period. Tourism has been great in St. Kitts. The new government has been increasing airlift year after year, so we're increasing our hotels and our overnight stays, as well as the cruise ship passengers. After the 7-year period, the investor has the opportunity to sell their unit to either another investor, or it's something we would even consider purchasing back at that time at the end of the 7 years. So when you're considering real estate versus the donation, real estate is more money up front, but at the end of the 7 years, once you sold your unit and earned some rental income, it's going to be a much more financially savory investment. So when we look at St. Kitts over the other CBI Caribbean islands, because we have 4 other options, there's only 2 countries, St. Kitts and Antigua, that have 0% income tax. Grenada, St. Lucia, Dominica all have some form of income tax. Even if they're not charging it right now, they could charge it or implement that one day in the near future. St. Kitts is the oldest and longest running CBI program, starting in 1984, making it, as Calvin mentioned, over 40 years older than Antigua and the other CBI programs. St. Kitts is also the only passport that is generational compared to Antigua, which can be passed down to your kids. Bottom line is you're treated just like a Kittitian citizen. There's no difference between your passport and a naturalized or someone like myself who's been there for over 14 years and been naturalized. On top of that, there's no residency requirements once you've obtained St. Kitts citizenship, unlike Antigua's 5 days a year that they make you attend. St. Kitts also has diplomatic ties with Taiwan, not China, unlike a lot of the other CBI programs. We're also extremely crypto friendly. If you go to map.bitcoin.com, you'll see right now currently there's over 150 companies in St. Kitts that already accept cryptocurrency. So you could pretty much go there on vacation and only spend crypto if that's what you are into. And most importantly, why St. Kitts, in my opinion, is better than the other islands is the new leadership at the CIU. They're transforming the efficiency of processing files and bringing the CIU really into the 21st century with new things like their new IT system, giving up-to-date timelines of where the process is, what's happening. So it's very positive as a developer to see all the positive things happening in the citizenship unit, making life easier for everyone. Now, why real estate over the donation? This is important in my opinion. Once you have a Caribbean developer with built product, which is existing, we offer and invite all investors to come stay in the villa that you're considering buying, try it out, make sure you like it. But purchasing real estate gives you the ability to fully use your St. Kitts citizenship. You can now open bank accounts in Singapore, Hong Kong, Switzerland, because once you purchase real estate, you have the ability to get supporting documents like your cable bills, maintenance bills, your property tax bill. We also invite all clients, once they've obtained their citizenship, to come to St. Kitts at no additional cost. We'll be happy to assist you in obtaining a driver's license, which requires a driving test, tax ID number, a social security card if you're willing to open a local company. With your St. Kitts TIN number, such as myself, I've been able to go to the US and open a bank account in a US bank using my St. Kitts citizenship and my St. Kitts TIN number to use the efficiency of the US banking system. St. Kitts citizenship also gives you the easy ability to KYC on any crypto exchange. So most Americans, if you're into crypto, you're limited to using Coinbase or Kraken, which has a very reduced number of assets that you could trade. while getting St. Kitts citizenship gives you access to all the other exchanges that are out there internationally. All products that we offer for investors receive a memorandum of transfers and certificate of titles. Just like if you were buying a property in the UK or US, we don't sell any company shares to any of our product. And once you deduct your rental return, your secure exit strategy, it's one of the most cost-effective routes over the donation, except for the cost of money for the 7 years. But at the end of 7 years, it's a much more beneficial process, in my opinion, than just doing the donation because of the additional benefits that come with it. And last but not least, if you have any questions, by all means, please feel free to let me know. I will pass things.
Thank you, John. This is very appreciated. And what I'd like to do now is to pass the baton as well to Daisy, who is one of our partners in St. Kitts and Nevis, and who works a lot with our clients more in the back end, and can share a lot more regarding the process and timeline as well. Daisy, if you'd like to kind of share a bit of your experience with the process, and also some of the timeline and everything else that essentially is important for some of our clients to learn of.
Wonderful. Thank you, Simon. Good day to everyone joining us on today's webinar. I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to connect with you. As Simon mentioned, my name is Daisy. I am an attorney at law with Joseph Rowe Law Firm in St. Kitts and Nevis. And along with my professional team, we provide citizenship by investment services for the St. Kitts and Nevis Citizenship by Investment Program to high net worth individuals through our group of companies, All Star SKN. There's never really been a better time to consider investing in St. Kitts and Nevis citizenship. And, it's thanks to recent moves being made by the Citizenship by Investment Unit, including, and it was mentioned, the digitization of the application process. The program has become faster, more efficient, more user-friendly, and at the same time, the due diligence process has been strengthened to ensure the continued value of the St. Kitts and Nevis citizenship. The application process time averages about 120 days, and this is prescribed in regulations issued by the government of St. Kitts and Nevis. But we've seen even faster approvals, averaging about 80 days from acknowledgement to approval. So that just speaks to a well-prepared file, compliance with the requirements, and having excellent service providers such as Indian partners to assist you in the preparation can really make a difference in the processing time. So while we'd love for you to visit us on the island of St. Kitts and Nevis, it really isn't required during the application process. We will need to do an interview as part of the due diligence checks, but this can easily be done remotely via video conference. So as you've heard earlier, the St. Kitts and Nevis Citizenship by Investment Program is the oldest of its kind in the world. It offers a stable and reliable pathway for foreign nationals to gain citizenship through financial contributions in areas prioritized by the government, such as tourism, real estate developments. One such development is the Royal St. Kitts Hotel and Villas, which was so wonderfully presented today by John. And the executive chairman of the CIU would have already taken us through the other options that are available, including a direct donation under the Sustainable Island State Contribution, public benefit option, and real estate. So now the process. Once you've completed your onboarding with Indian partners, including the initial due diligence, you'll work closely with your dedicated agent who will provide you with a checklist of required documents. A member of our team at All Star SKN would be assigned to assist and guide with the application process, including review of documents. If you have chosen the real estate route, you'll need to complete 3 St. Kitts and Nevis citizenship application forms. It's the C1, C2, and C3. Quite simple. These forms are fillable electronically, so you can easily fill them out on your computer, and you can make changes as necessary after the initial review. All forms must be completed in English, and if there isn't enough space for any response to any of the questions on the form, you can simply submit additional pages along with the form. Just a quick breakdown of what's the C1, C2, C3. So the C1 is your most detailed form. It covers personal information, including occupation, source of income. It also covers family details and contains a declaration with matters relevant to your citizenship application. The C2 form, a very short form, which really speaks to your photograph and signature specimen, as again, a very simple form. And your C3 is your medical form, and this needs to be completed by a medical practitioner. If the applicant is proceeding with the real estate investment, you will need the executed purchase and sale agreement as part of your citizenship application package. Alternatively, if the applicant chooses donation, there is an additional form to be completed, a C4 form, which is just a declaration as to the investment that you are making pursuant to your citizenship application. It is important to note that any of the supporting documents, such as your birth certificate, copies of national IDs, etc., that may be needed to support your application, if those documents are being certified, notarized in a country that is a party to the Hague Convention on Apostilles, then we would also need to have those documents apostilled. And that includes Canada and the USA. A comprehensive list of those countries are very well known by your agents, and they'll be able to guide you. As you gather the documents, you will email or upload and scan documents to us. That allows us to review and point out anything that may need to be amended, or we indicate that everything is in order. After reviewing and confirming that the forms are in order, we'll ask your agents at Henley & Partners to send us the hard copies, or you would send it to us directly, and we will receive those via courier. All documents are then uploaded to the Citizenship by Investment Unit's electronic data. For now, we are still submitting hard copies of the application forms and the supporting documents, but we do hope that this process will be fully digitized very soon. Once submitted, the CIU, that's the Citizenship by Investment Unit, the head of whom you heard from earlier, will issue an acknowledgement letter confirming receipt of your application. As mentioned, the application processing time is within 120 days from acknowledgement letter to approval letter. During this time, we stay in very close contact with the CIU for updates, and any correspondence from the CIU will be forwarded to Henley & Partners for your attention. When we receive approval from the CIU, we'll move forward to prepare closing for your real estate. And in this regard, we work very closely with John and Katie and the Royal St. Kitts team to get all of that organized. You will transfer the balance of the funds for your investment, and the bank will conduct the due diligence, clear the funds. At closing, the seller will provide the necessary documents to transfer your interest in real estate in exchange for the remaining balance of the purchase price. Now, once the transfer documents are in order, we will submit them to the CIU, and thereafter, the CIU issues your certificate of registration for St. Kitts and Nevis. This is your document proving that you have been granted citizenship of St. Kitts and Nevis. After receiving your COR, we will then apply for the passport on your behalf. The regular processing time for the passport is 2 weeks, and you can opt to go the expedited processing route, which is only 4 business days. Finally, we'll arrange to deliver your certificate of registration as a citizen and your passport to you as new and warmly welcomed citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis. I will close off by just mentioning a little known but huge high point within the jurisdiction of St. Kitts and Nevis is the international financial products that are offered under the Nevis corporate structure through international trusts, IBCs, LLCs, multi-form foundations. All of these are excellent wealth and asset protection tools, and it may be a different discussion for a different day, but feel free to reach out and ask questions about this, because we have found that it truly fits in nicely with your overall plan in exploring a second or alternative citizenship. And I'm sure you can reach out to Henley & Partners directly for more information, or feel free to reach out to our office as well. It's a pleasure, and I'll hand back over to Simon.
Thank you, Daisy. Thank you very much. So, I would like to essentially leave the door open for really any questions that essentially the audience may have. Of course, let's take the opportunity to essentially, have some direct response here from our panelists as well. So please, if you have any specific questions, feel free to type it in, sorry, into the Q&A box that's at the bottom of your chat box on the Zoom link, on the Zoom panel, and we'll be able to answer the questions right away. All right, let's wait for the first one to just have the icebreaker, and then the questions will follow as always.
Hey, Simon, as we're waiting, just wanted to add some clarity points on a couple of
Of course.
things, that John and Daisy had reference. One of the key things, even though at this point in time we don't have residency requirement, but we're really pushing to what we call a link to the country. That's important. And that is a critical area where what we have seen, it's not even, we are mandating this, but individuals are asking for additional investment opportunity. And so what we have started last year is what's called an Investment Gateway Summit. And we have now having a second one this year. And the intent is to really get individuals that link to the country. And we are seeing it's increasing even further because that is critical for individuals to have an understanding of citizenship, as you said, is generational, but there's an element of us also wanting to ensure that they have a link to the benefits of what Syncits and offers. So I just wanted to put that out there. As individuals, we may want to have that potential opportunity, because what it does, it gives you an opportunity to speak with policy individuals, further development that may be coming in some of these specific areas. So it gives them that opportunity, and we're seeing a much more increase of individuals wanting that. The second piece, just to clarify, is around our move to support the crypto. It is a new element, and when we talk about crypto, it's really now an opportunity for us to look at the entirety of the applicants' network. So it's really part of this source of wealth. Historically, we did not take that into consideration, and what we've realized is in our ultra high net worth individuals are moving into that area. So now we've opened up the opportunity to consider that as part of their source of wealth, and obviously goes through the relevant regulatory AML and CLT checks in terms of where the wallet is. So I just wanted to clarify that in terms of those two key points.
Thank you, Excellency. I appreciate it. And of course, I mean, this is something that, I'll say it very out loud, that, over advising here at Henley Partners, the 5 Caribbean Citizenship Investment Program, we've seen, tremendous policies and tremendous movement, essentially seeing this and continue this program moving towards being a very attractive program for these various reasons as well. And I think this is why a lot of our clients really opt for the Nevis Citizenship Investment Program, even as an insurance policy, or even as looking at it as a second citizenship to explore from that end. So I see there are two questions that came just right into the chat. So the first one is the 1/30th share in the villas the only offering at the Royal St. Kitts at the moment? John, I'll let you answer the question from that perspective.
Sure, I'd be happy to jump in. Thank you. So we have multiple offerings. We have full ownership units, but they start at 400,000. We have studios, 1 bedrooms and 2 bedrooms that are available. They're 450 to 600 square feet. So they're a little bit smaller than the villas, but I would say that the villas are what we've seen to have the most demand for over the last couple of years. Once we tour a client and they see the both between our full ownership and the villas, they tend to lean towards the villas because it is our first 5-star product. And then I'd be happy to jump in on the second question. Unfortunately, loans or financing is not available for the purchase of condominiums. The investor must put up the funds entirely for the purchase of the real estate.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for that. I would essentially have one additional question that Daisy or Your Excellency, you'd have the opportunity to answer. And this is something that has been, in some of the recent discussions that essentially we've heard happening mostly with the government of St. Kitts, but I, would be a little bit more interested in terms of hearing some of, the recent developments that essentially we can forecast that essentially would make it very attractive for investors or for applicants to really move forward the program when it comes down to essentially including dependents over the age of 26 and other meetings as well. So feel free to really share any specific feedback on that as well.
Sure. Oh, Daisy, I'll let you go and then I can come up with that.
Well, I was going to say I defer because you will be getting the news directly from the source. So please.
Yeah,
Chairman.
so thank you. So one of the things that we've looked at is across the various jurisdictions that exists. And in order for us to be relatively competitive, but also we pride St. Kitts and Nevis as a family inclusive citizenship by investment program. And as such, we will be changing our dependent age component. Right now, we have it between 18 to 25. And so we've seen and seen a significant and we've heard it from our investors for whatever reasons and a number of valid reasons based on our analysis and market insight that gives us that level of confidence. So we plan to increase that up to on the 30, I would say 30 and under, and that will be coming relatively soon. And I'll double click into that. It's important that any changes that we were going to make is underscored on our security aspect, and that's critical. I think Daisy had mentioned in terms of what is being seen in terms of our processing time, our regulations. We sort of indicated our timeline is between upwards to 180 days. That's between 120 and 180 days, and that's really our regular processing. But what we have now begun seeing, and we've echoed it, is around clean files, no threats, no security issues as we work with our international partners. Those are the elements that really has helped, and we over-index it in that. Those are the most important thing in order to ensure the expediency of an applicant getting their citizenship. Because we will do our checks, and we always say be upfront, be accurate, and disclose all the information because we will find out. And so, in order to prevent any delays, it's always good to at least that concept of transparency because it's a very important investment, and it's also most critical for us that the right individuals who get accepted into the program are the individuals that we are comfortable with, but most importantly, our international partners, the EU Commission, the UK Home Office, or the state, so that they're comfortable that we are truly vetting and accepting individuals who do not pose a risk in any shape or form to their borders, but most importantly, our borders. So to get to the question, as I said, that was one of the on the score. We took a very involved approach, and so we saw the opportunity for us to be more competitive in that we'll be raising the dependent limit.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Daisy, if you'd like to share any additional feedback, feel free to really share anything until I can. Happy to pass on to the next question.
Sure. Just to add, there's been a recent announcement of the allowance of sponsorship from parents to children and children to parents. Now, this is an important development because we have seen, again, a very real and legitimate need to do so based on the criteria that is set out for dependents. And so what this practically means is if you have an adult child who is not doesn't age into the dependence or doesn't fit one of the other criteria, but that child is still fully supported by the parents who are who have their own citizenship application. And as His Excellency mentioned, St. Kitts and Nevis Citizenship Program is really geared towards inclusion of family members. And so now this ensures that adult children are allowed to also access the St. Kitts and Nevis Citizenship by Investment Program, even where they themselves may not be income earning or have generated the level of wealth necessary to make their own investment. So they can be sponsored by their parents. And vice versa. You may have adult parents, elderly or older parents who have stopped working and who can now be sponsored by their children to make an application, again, to include as much of the family, as many generations, to together become citizens of St. Kitts and Nevis. So I think that that's also one of the important developments that continue to be geared towards inclusion. Recently as well, the resumption of Ukrainian nationals being processed. And this really speaks again to the integrity and the efforts made by the St. Kitts and Nevis Citizenship by Investment Unit and government to ensure that due diligence is never compromised. And so there was a pause on the processing of Ukrainian nationals, and I can only speak from my understanding of it, which is that that was to ensure that the due diligence process could be completed by the external partners. And that has been satisfactorily shown. And so now we welcome Ukrainian nationals to apply for citizenship by investment in St. Kitts and Nevis. So, I mean, there are many developments that we have seen under this administration of the St. Kitts and Nevis Citizenship by Investment Unit. And, we'll continue to share them through the channels, through Henley and Partners, so that you can pass them along. But these are some of the highlights at the moment.
Thank you. Thank you, Daisy. Thank you, His Excellency. Much appreciated. And, one last question that I'd like to ask, which I think a lot of clients sometimes, once they tend to really ask, okay, well, we're exploring this program, we're considering it, but we want to hear, some feedback of essentially, let's say, having other clients really pursuing this specific process as well. And, I'd be curious to hear from either one of you, what positive feedback do you hear most often from clients that have chosen the St. Kitts and Nevis program?
Well, I will say that
David,
definitely from our clients, they enjoy the ease of travel, but they also are almost surprised that the joy they have from just visiting St. Kitts and Nevis as citizens, especially if they're real estate owners, spending time here with their family and enjoying the lifestyle in this. We know that the pace of life right now is very, very fast, and St. Kitts is a breath of fresh air. And so aside from all the financial and estate planning benefits, I think that that's one of the constant bits of feedback that we get from our clients.
Of course. Thank you for sharing. John, any feedback that you'd like to share versus, let's say, clients that have done real estate, and then, of course, they had the opportunity to stay, within your hotel versus, let's say, the donation. So kind of any specific direction that you'd like to share?
Yeah, no, just St. Kitts, as my dad described it, is a diamond in the rough, and it's very easy to fall in love with the island. We have hotel guests that have been coming nonstop every year for going on 30 things of that nature, that have gone through the program, gotten their citizenship, and just love the country. As Daisy mentioned, it's very, we all get caught up in our lives, North America, the rest of the world, everything happening so fast. St. Kitts is really a breath of fresh air, beautiful beaches, the ocean's amazing. I mean, there's nothing to not like about living there. On top of that, as someone who lives there with my 4-year-old son, there's no amenities that I don't have at my house in St. Kitts that I have in Florida or Toronto at my other homes. You have everything you want. If anything, we have more features and amenities like private jet lounge. When you fly in commercially, you get treated like you just arrived on a G5 plane. We have a lot of other little things that you don't or won't find in North America, to say the least, that are nice cherries on top when you're getting off a long 6-hour flight from the UK, that you're greeted with a glass of champagne instead of standing in a long line. It's a small thing, but it does add up and it does matter. On top of that, we have I'm a aviation boat enthusiast, so we do have a helipad at the hotel, so it's easy to charter a helicopter to go to any other island. St. Bart's is a 15-minute flight away. Anguilla is like 20 minutes away. We have a little 44-foot power catamaran with 3 bedrooms that we take clients out on tours. So we really are able to provide that white glove service when clients do come to the island, that they can feel, I can almost guarantee they're going to have a good time. Whether they want to buy or not is a different story, but I can ensure they're going to have a good weekend or week visit when they come visit us.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I think I've been convinced enough to come to St. Kitts for my next week vacation. So I think that's been sold off. Thank you for that. So we're getting to our time, and I'd like to first thank you deeply, our panelists, His Excellency again, Calvin St. Just, in addition to Daisy, Katie, and John for joining our call today. We will be following up as well, with the attendees, sending as well the recorded session. In addition to, if you'd like to have a formal conversation with either an advisor here at Henley or have discussion directly with me, happy to schedule a call, go into a little bit more in depth over the St. Kitts and Nevis program, and exploring if this program is the right fit for you as well. Again, I'd like to wish you all a great day, and thank you for joining our webinar, and thank you to our panelists as well.
Thank you, Simon. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you much. Thank you all. Take care.
Thank you all. Have a wonderful day.